Hello everyone, my name is William, and welcome to Williampedia. I make funny videos about historical facts that I find online. Subscribe if that sounds interesting to you. I'm feeling really plugged in for this one, so let me help you plug in, baby. Plug in, baby! Alright, let's get going. There's a healthy list of helicopter escapes on Wikipedia, but today we're only going to be talking about 3. Garrett Trapnel, why do these guys always have 3 names, by the way, is remembered as a career con man, bank robber, and aircraft hijacker. You could probably already see where this is going. Let me just read the wiki rundown on this guy. Trapnel robbed a string of banks in Canada, frequently posed as an agent of the CIA, masterminded a $100,000 jewelry store heist in Freeport, Bahamas, and simultaneously maintained marriages with at least 6 women. When arrested for his crimes, he frequently feigned madness and successfully used the insanity defense to be committed to mental institutions, from which he would later escape or be released on the grounds that he was no longer dangerous. Insane. Truly insane. And this was the 1960s and 70s. This sounds like a character out of a Western. Anyways, on January 28th, 1972, he was arrested for hijacking TWA Flight 2 from Los Angeles to New York while in air over Chicago. He did so with a .45 caliber revolver that he had concealed on his person. During his hijacking, he had a list of demands that were as follows: $306,800 in cash, he had been trying to pay off a recent court fee, the release of one of his imprisoned friends, and a presidential pardon for Richard Nixon. Don't ask me. I guess Tricky Dick had shooters like that. I don't know. The FBI stormed the plane when it landed and shot him. He was only wounded, but no one else was hurt. Remember how I mentioned that he would get off of crimes by claiming insanity? Well, he did it again. At least he tried. He pleaded insanity and said it was actually his split personality, Greg Ross, who had done the hijacking. According to the New Yorker, he also said that, quote, that he deserved to be treated not as a criminal, but as a sick man, and that hijackers often suffer from a sense of masculine failure and latent homosexuality. Just a great, this guy gets better and better. His pleas for insanity fell on deaf ears this time because the prosecution was able to produce an audio tape of him from only months before. The tape was a conversation between him and a journalist that, quote, on it, he boasted of his extensive reading in psychiatry and of the ease with which he slipped into his schizophrenic persona. He literally bragged about how well he can fool people into thinking he's crazy. That just must have been such a funny courtroom.
I just have to say I'm crazy, and they always buy it. I am definitely going to do it again. And I am definitely going to use it as an excuse in a courtroom on January 3rd, 1970.
Okay, all right. We don't need any more of that now, do we? That was actually Greg Ross. Anyways, this is about helicopter escapes. He was imprisoned at the USP Marion in Illinois. When you're a guy who hijacks for a living, you're bound to have friends who hijack. Brock did. On May 24th, 1978, one of Brock's good friends, Barbara Ann Oswald, hijacked a charter helicopter with a gun to the pilot's head and forced him to land in the USP courtyard. Right before they landed, the pilot wrestled the gun out of her hands and proceeded to shoot and kill her. Ooh. Embarrassing. Don't worry, guys. We are so out of here. I got my best friend on the sticks. All right, new plan. Side fact, another one of the inmates who were supposed to escape with him was a hijacker who jumped out of a Boeing mid-flight during his last attempt. How do you even get into the world of hijacking? Is there like a Reddit for this or something? The helicopter escape was unsuccessful, but somehow it wasn't the only attempt to free him via hijacking. The lady from the helicopter escape had a 17-year-old daughter who also attempted to hijack a plane to have Brock freed. The 17-year-old boarded a flight with road flares strapped to her chest that were attached to a doorbell by wire, and it looked kind of like dynamite, so she claimed that it was, and was eventually talked off the plane by the FBI, and she gave herself up. Also, for some reason, every account of this event describes her as being hot. I don't know why. They just all do. Every newspaper mentions it. The Joel David Kaplan I'm referring to is this Joel David Kaplan, the 44-year-old businessman from
You ain't from the city if you ain't no Julian, bruh.
who had been convicted for the murder of his business associate and arrested by Mexican authorities in 1961. The case is actually super convoluted. I would know. I read every newspaper from 1961 that I could find with any information on it. To make a convoluted story short, Joel's business partner was in Mexico with him on a business trip, but was actually also trying to either move narcotics or buy them. It wasn't really clear in the court documents. No one really knows. Essentially, that ended up getting his partner killed by some bad actors and left Kaplan as the easiest person to pin. So he was thrown in prison for a murder he almost certainly didn't commit. I don't know about you,
But I'd be kind of annoyed if that happened to me. Maybe even annoyed enough to stage a helicopter escape. 10 years after his conviction, in 1971, Kaplan planned a kind of jailbreak that had never been done before. In August of the same year, he executed this plan. The offense unfolded as follows. The majority of the prisoners and prison staff were watching a movie in the mess hall. Out of nowhere, a Bell helicopter flies above the prison and lands in the courtyard. Some prison guards, who I suppose didn't like the movie they were showing, saw the chopper and chose to present arms and stand at attention. They thought that the helicopter was either the Attorney General, due to the helicopter having a similar color to the Attorney General's, or some other high-ranking official arriving for a surprise visit.
It did turn out to be a surprise visit, but it was not from an official.
Joel Kaplan and another prisoner ran directly from their cells to the chopper, and within 2 minutes were in the air. Not a single shot was fired or question asked during the entire exchange.
I'd like to imagine the security guards' reactions. Dude, I hate working here. Clay only ever wants to watch Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit from 2005. I thought the year was 1971. What do you...
Oh, whoa.
Damn, oh shit, who is that?
It's gotta be the Attorney General, dude. Straighten up.
So getting promoted. Maybe they're just being transferred.
You say that every prison break. Kaplan's Mexican lawyer accused him of being a CIA agent, though his spokesman poo-pooed the idea, saying, quote, "People are determined to substitute James Bond for the Kaplan name." Actually, come to think of it, this isn't really poo-pooing it.
He's not really saying no here. He's kind of just saying something.
In fact, there's a whole rabbit hole about Kaplan's ties to the CIA through his uncle, but who cares? This is a video about dope-ass prison breaks. He technically didn't break any laws because the Mexican Penal Code at the time specified for a jailbreak to be a crime, it had to be violent. Mexico obviously disagreed, though they never extradited him, and he just faded into obscurity as a regular businessman.
He'll just always have that lore, too. He'll just be walking around. He's probably going to be like,
"No, kids, I actually was the first man to successfully escape prison with a helicopter."
"Shut up, Grandpa. I'm trying to scroll book." If you thought that case was even slightly silly, you're in for a treat.
Robin Hood is real, and he's actually Greek. Let me explain. Vasilis Paleokostas is a famous Greek bank robber known for frequently giving his money away to the poor and needy around the countryside. He grew up in poverty, working 2 years at the cheese factory. Not an important detail, but I thought the cheese factory was funny. Massive inflation in Greece between 1985 and 1991 caused the Greek public to grow increasingly discontent with the government. This is likely because the cost of beer quadrupled. Vasilis became something of a hero to some, as he was known as a generous and non-violent thief. Countless Greeks sheltered him when he was on the run from a variety of his crimes.
He committed a robbery that is to this day considered the highest amount of money ever stolen from a bank in Greece. While fleeing said robbery, he threw nearly 360,000 euros out the window of the car he was driving into the streets of the townspeople. Not only that, but their getaway vehicle had been stolen, and he returned it to the original owner with 430 euro under the carpet and a fresh polish on the car. Occasionally, he would kidnap billionaires and hold them for ransom, with one billionaire, Alexander Hatzoglu, stating that, quote, "It was a well-thought-out kidnapping. My kidnapper's behavior was not bad at all. I was not scared for myself. Actually, I enjoyed some wide-ranging discussions with the kidnappers." His crime spree came to an end when he was arrested after getting into a car accident and sustained a head injury. His life inside prison got even more interesting. One story from the inside says that he was given a file by the warden and allowed to file his way out of his prison cell, only to be caught by the warden during his escape. When Paleokostas had finally made his way through the cell, the warden is quoted as saying, "Put away your weapons. I want to finish this like men." The guy just wanted to beat the shit out of him and then put him back in his cell. And that's exactly what he did. He beat his ass, and then he put him back in his cell. On the 4th of June, 2006, Vasilis' brother enacted a plan to break his brother out of jail. He chartered a helicopter, along with an accomplice. As soon as they were within sight of the prison, he held a gun to the pilot and told him to land in the courtyard. Once they landed, it only took a few minutes for Vasilis to board, and they took off. The guards knew it was a breakout, and they wanted to open fire, but the prison was located in a residential area, so they chose not to, for risk of shooting the children on the other side of the walls. They landed north of Athens, where motorcycles awaited them. Vasilis' brother allegedly gave the stressed out pilot a set of worry beads, basically a stress ball, hopped on a motorcycle, and they all drove off. Imagine you just had a man press a gun to your neck, finally puts it down, he just gives you a fidget spinner and tells you to chill. Vasilis successfully escaped prison via helicopter, only to be captured 2 short years later. In 2008, Vasilis was arrested for the kidnapping and ransoming of an infamous Greek billionaire, George Milonas, who was well known for telling the nation's poor, in the throes of the 2008 financial crisis, mind you, to, quote, "tighten your belts," so as to say they just needed to work harder. Despite his reputation as an absolute dick, Milonas said of his captors, quote, "They were polite and they treated me well." Vasilis even brought him a morning newspaper every day, and he was ransomed at a total of 12 million euro. On the 2nd of August 2008, Vasilis was sitting down with a cup of moonshine to watch the Michael Mann magnum opus Heat. This is not a joke.
This is exactly what he was doing when a SWAT team burst through the door. Apparently, a group of fangirls attended his court hearing, and many anarchists screamed his name from outside the courthouse. He was locked in the same prison, in the same cell, awaiting a conviction.
Maybe you think they would have learned their lesson the first time that they put him in this cell and prison. But apparently not.
On the 22nd of February, 2009,
Vasilis escaped from jail via helicopter for the second time.
this helicopter was a charter, much like the first one, and it was hijacked by one of his good friend's girlfriends. She revealed a grenade to the pilot when they neared the prison and forced him to fly overhead. They lowered a ladder to Vasilis, and as soon as he grabbed on, they went full throttle into the air. As soon as the doors closed on the chopper, both parties exchanged fire, but nobody was hurt except for one prison guard who shot himself in the foot after trying to pull his gun out of his holster too fast. They flew to freedom and immediately went on the run, thus successfully escaping the same prison using the same method twice. The original detective working the first case heard the story and said, quote, "I couldn't help but laugh." Neither can I. Are you kidding? Are you allowed to stay open as a jail at that point? As of today, Vasilis is still on the run and has been for nearly 17 years. Thousands of Greek and American officials search for him on a daily basis, but no one has ever seen or heard of him since. People have many theories as to where he ended up. Some say he's with the monks on Mount Athos. Others say he has fled to a foreign country. Others still say he roams the countryside, handing out money to poor people and farmers.
His reputation in Greece makes him very hard to find because most people desire to protect him from their corrupt government.
The retired police detective is quoted as saying, "I will never stop looking for Vasilis. It's not a matter of if he strikes again, it's when."
Why the hell is this all so cool? Why have I never heard of any of this? Why is there... It's just so cool. That's the video, guys. I know I only talked about 3 prison escapes and there's 38 of them, but these things take a long time to make. Maybe I'll make another one, but for now, that's it. So if you enjoyed, subscribe. See ya. My plug-in baby, crucify my enemy.